Hey everyone, welcome back. If you've ever thought about investing in a laundromat or you're just curious about how the numbers really stack up in this kind of business, you're in the right place. Today we're going to dive deep into the financials of an actual laundromat deal, breaking down the revenue, the expenses, and most importantly, the profits. I'll be showing you how to analyze these numbers like a pro, so whether you're looking to buy your first laundromat or add another one to your portfolio, this will help you make a smart, informed decision. We'll cover everything from how much cash flow you can expect each month, what to watch out for operational costs, and how to input all of this into the best analysis calculator out there so you can feel confident about your purchase. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for when you're evaluating a laundromat business, and you'll have the tools to spot whether a deal is a moneymaker or something that you want to avoid. So if you're ready to take a look at some real-world numbers and get into the details, stick with me. This could be the opportunity that changes everything. Before you watch this, I have a free training that walks you through the 30-day checklist to find, buy, and operate a laundromat passively so you can completely change your financial future in a short amount of time. You can find the link below this video to get the checklist and the free training. All right, I'm going to take you guys through a real live example of a laundromat that I'm looking at here in a suburb of San Diego. I have the profit and loss statement from the current seller. I met with the seller last week, so I have a good understanding of how the laundromat's running. I just met with him quickly over there for about 20 minutes. I wanted to see how the laundromat looked, how busy it was when I went in there on Thursday. It was packed, so that's a good sign. And he gave me his full P&L from 2023. So I could take those numbers and put them into this analysis calculator. So this is his profit and loss statement for all of last year. This one's interesting because he broke down all of his expenses in a lot of detail, but he didn't give me all the details of where his income is coming from. He's just giving me income, the total income of the laundromat. So had I not talked to him, I don't know if this income's all from coin laundry and app payments, wash, dry, fold, pickup, and delivery. Since I did talk to him, I know that all of this is machine revenue and vending machine revenue. So most of it's coming from machines, people using quarters, paying with app, and then there's some other revenue coming from vending as well. But I want to know exactly what those numbers are if I'm going to move forward with the purchase, so I know how much the revenue is coming from each category. So for this one specifically, he's just telling me his total income is $378,967.49. So we are going to take that number and we are going to divide it by 12, because remember, our calculator is calculating monthly, is doing a monthly analysis. So take this total number, total income, divide it by 12, and then you're going to put your monthly revenue amount in this column. So since it's not broken down on where this revenue is coming from, I'm just going to put it in the other revenue column, and that comes out to $31,580.62 per month in revenue that he's making. Then I'm going to go back to the profit and loss statement. I'm going to start looking at his expenses. He's got everything broken down. The first thing that is on our analysis calculator is electricity. So utilities, which is going to be right down here, comes out to $58,502 for the entire year. So we're going to take that number. We are going to divide it by 12. So we get the monthly costs, and that's going to give us $4,875.22 just for electricity. So water and sewer. So when I looked at this, I was looking at his rent payment. Where is his rent? So I was looking at his rent expense, which is huge, $73,557. I mean, you take that and you divide it to get the monthly amount, and that comes out to $6,129. So what I found out from him, because I asked him why his rent's so high, is this actually includes water. He said his water is about $1,500 to $2,000 a month. So we're going to take this number, going to divide it by 12. That's going to give you $6,129. And that, so we're going to take that number, divide it by 12. It's going to give us $6,129 $1,000,000.76. Since that includes water, I'm going to put a 0 up here in water and sewer. So we don't want to double dip on that. So let's see. Now we're looking at gas. So that may have been included in his total utility costs. Let's just double check. Accounting, bank charges. So nothing else here has a gas expense. So we know that's included in this total utility cost, which makes sense, gas and electric. So we're going to put a 0 there. So the only insurance cost he has on here is workers' comp insurance, which is most likely included in his overall insurance cost. So he's got that at $6,869. So we're going to take that, divide it by 12, comes out to a monthly cost of $572.42, which makes sense. So that's typically what I pay for insurance, right around like $500. So gas was included in the utilities. See if he's got maintenance costs on here. Repairs and maintenance right here, $21,257. So I'll take that, going to divide it by 12, and that is going to give us $1,771.47. We'll round up. The supplies would be, it could be office expenses, and that's going to be $4,332. Divide that by 12. And supplies are going to be things like soap, vending machines in there for food and soda, and then also like some toy games for kids to play where they could get stuffed animals and stuff. So that's all going to fall under supplies. Divide that by 12. That comes out to $361.07. Okay, now we're at employee wages. So what's he paying for employee wages? Payroll wages. Those are really high. $97,000. And I believe he said he has 4 employees at this laundromat, which seemed like he was very hands-off. So my guess is he just hired 4 people, so he doesn't have to spend a lot of time there. And basically, the laundromat runs passively for him. So we're going to take that amount. We're going to divide it by 12, which is going to give us $8,097.06. And then other expenses. So these are going to be all the other things basically that wasn't included in any of these columns. So accounting, we didn't include that because most of the time that's not going to be on a P&L, but since he has it in there, great. Let's add that, $7,745. Bank charges, we didn't put that on there. Usually that's not on a P&L, so we're going to include that, which is great. Eastern funding interest expense. So what this is the interest that he's paying on his loan with Eastern Funding. Eastern Funding is a small business lender who gave him the loan to buy all of his some new washer and dryers. He didn't have all new in there. He just had some. Eastern Funding interest expense. We're going to include that. We'll add that up. Let's take the other interest expense. We don't know what that's for because he didn't tell us, but it's on the P&L as an expense, so we're going to add it up. Internet, okay, we don't have that on there yet, so let's take the internet. We'll add $435.73. Licenses and permits, we're going to take that to the total amount. Meals and entertainment, typically you're not going to see that on a P&L, but since he added it, it was part of the expense last year. We'll put that on there. Office expense we did. Payroll processing expense. Let's take that. Let's add this to this other expense amount. We already put the payroll wages on the calculator, so we're not going to put those. We already put the rent on there. Repairs and maintenance. Did we put that on there? We did. And security, we did not put that on there, so that's $476. And that is for some security cameras he had installed. Payroll taxes, we didn't include that yet, so we're going to add that. Sales tax paid, $244.54. Telephone expense, we didn't put that on there yet. Travel expense, we didn't include that. Utilities, we already put on there. And insurance, we already put on there. So our total other expenses that we didn't include is going to come out to $56,169. We are going to divide that by 12, and that's going to come out to $4,680.83. It's going to bring our total monthly expense cost to $26,000. So let's see how this adds up compared to what we put in to what he's got on his profit and loss statement. So we have total monthly revenue, $31,000, total monthly expense, $26,000. The spreadsheet's going to take those two, subtract them. That's going to give us $5,092 in monthly profit. It's going to take that, multiply it by 12, which is going to give us $61,000 in net operating income. Let's see how that adds up to what he has. So he's got $54,585. So what's something that we missed on here? I believe it was our cost of goods sold. So we need to subtract that because these purchases, that was included in the income. So let's take $6,527.99. We'll divide that by 12. That comes out to $543. We're going to add that number to this total, which comes out to $5,224.82. Now it looks better. Now our net operating income is $54,585. Boom. Matches up exactly. So we know we put the numbers in right. And we're off by a couple cents. But these numbers, $54,585, $54,585. All right. So we put all those numbers in correctly. So now we know the net operating income is $54,000. What we're going to do is let's come up to a couple scenarios on what we would pay for this place. So based on the net operating income, I'm going to say 4 is a multiple that I typically like to buy at, somewhere between 3 to 5 based on the market that I'm buying in. San Diego, some multiple is going to be a little bit higher. The machines aren't all brand new. There's a bunch of them that are older. I actually saw a lot of machines were down and out of order. So, there's people need to come in and maintain those, get those back up. So rather than using a higher multiple, I'm going to say 4. It's a realistic multiple. So based on the NOI, multiply it by 4, it's going to give me $218,000, $342.40 as the purchase price. I'm going to take that number. We're just going to round up, go to 220,000, make it easy. Let's say my down payment amount, let's just say, to keep it simple, we use 20%. It's $44,000, and I want an interest rate of say 5%. I'm going to ask him to carry a loan for 10 years. It's going to bring my monthly payment to $1,866.75. Now this number would be subtracted from my net operating income here, and annual profit after debt is going to be $32,000. So again, this would be money in your pocket after the debt is paid for. Now, let's say, okay, I'm going to offer him $220,000, but I only want to put down $20,000, and I still want a 5% interest rate. I'm going to ask him for a 10-year term. What's my payment going to be? $2,121, and that's going to change. You're going to have to take these numbers. So it's going to give you a new monthly payment. And then to spit out all these numbers, you're going to have to take the numbers that you put over here and also put them in these cells here. So those aren't going to change because we are using the same revenue expenses. Put that here. All this should be the same except for the annual profit after debt, because now you're paying more of a monthly amount. So it makes sense that that number is going to go down. So let's say, okay, I'll give him $220,000, but I only want to put down $10,000. Still on a 5% interest rate, a 10-year term. Now your loan amount is going to be $227,000. Or let's say you work out the purchase price and the down payment amount. And he says, well, since you're putting less down, I want a 6% interest rate, and I'm only going to do for 7 years. Okay. Well, now you know your monthly payment is $3,000. All else remaining equal, including revenue, all your expenses stay the same. Coming out of pocket $10,000. How much are you going to put in your pocket after your debt? $17,000. I love this scenario here. If you could get him to agree to just taking $10,000 and you're doing this on a seller finance term, 6% interest rate at 7 years, yeah, you're making less money over the first year, but you're getting $17,000 back in year one in net profit in your pocket. So the $10,000 you put into it, you're getting back in that first year, and then some on top of that, $7,000, which is pure profit. So these columns here, this is the actual column. Let's say this is what he's asking for, 220,000. He wants 20% down, so it would come out to 44,000. And then these are some what if scenarios. If you're willing to pay him the same price, but you want to put less down. And let's say you give him a different interest rate. Now, these what if columns, you could play around to get different scenarios on how much you're willing to pay him. So let's say, okay, I'm not going to put down 44,000, but maybe I'll offer him a higher asking price, much lower down payment, let's say 15,000, and I want 5% interest rate at 10 years. What would that do to my loan payment? It's going to bring it up to almost $2,500 a month. What does that do to my profit? So I scroll down, and for this scenario, it still leaves me with $24,000 in profit after debt. So basically, you'd be making that in year one. And if you're putting down 15,000 and you take the profit that you're making in your pocket, so $24,675, subtract that by 15,000, you're left over with about $9,000 after your down payment in year one. So essentially, you would own the business for free once you get that $15,000 back, and you still have $9,000 left over in your pocket. So not too bad. If the seller was willing to accept something like this. So basically, these what if columns, they give you different options to play with. If you want to offer a different asking price, different down payment amounts, let's say he's not going to accept, maybe he'll accept your down payment amount, but he says, all right, if I'm going to give you a lower down payment than what I want, I at least want 275,000. So let's put that in here. Say the 15,000 he's going to accept. He's going to accept our 5% interest rate, and he's only going to do a 7-year term. He won't do 10. That's where you guys negotiate on. So, all right, you're going to pay him $275,000. You might be asking, why would I pay him a higher price than what he's asking for? Well, you get to negotiate with him if you're buying this thing on seller finance terms. So maybe he's looking at the total amount more than anything else. So you said, oh, all right, everybody else I've talked to has offered me 220 or lower. You're offering me 275. Awesome. I'm going to work with you. I'll give you a lower down payment. I'm going to give you the interest rate that you want, but I only want to do a 7-year term. So your monthly payment to the seller would now come out to $3,674 each month. How much profit would that give you? They give you $10,000 in profit in year one. So gives you an idea of what different offer prices are going to do. Different down payment amounts and interest rate in terms of years. And you can play around with this. It'll start giving you a good idea of what you're willing to buy a laundromat for, what you're not willing to buy it for. The more often you do this, the more comfortable you're going to get with different scenarios. So I recommend going through this a bunch of times. You could use one laundromat, take that P&L, go through this 3 to 5 times, then find another laundromat, take that P&L, do the same thing. So you're getting really comfortable with this analysis calculator, the numbers that it's churning out back to you, and getting comfortable with ideas and getting comfortable with what you're willing to take on as a down payment, an offer price, and just negotiating these things with the seller once you start talking to them. So another scenario I want to take you through is, let's say all of this remains the same. You're willing to pay the $220,000 that the seller wants. And let's say you guys come up with let's just call it a $20,000 down payment. So these what if scenarios, you're going to leave the same because you guys agreed on that. You're going to do a 5% interest rate, and he's going to carry the loan for 10 years. So remember, your loan amount here is going to be less than your offer price because you're putting down $20,000. So you're only getting a loan amount of $200,000 because you're going to take the $220, subtract it by your down payment. This will give you your loan amount. And this actual column B, these are going to be the numbers that the laundromat is actually doing. And you say, all right, I want to use this as a what if scenario for year 2 and year 3. So the actual is going to be year 1 when you buy it. Now, let's say you increase total revenue by 10%. So we're going to take $31,580. We're going to multiply it by 10%. It's going to give us an extra $3,158. So we're going to add that to this number.
So take 3,158 plus 31,580. That's going to give us a total new monthly amount of $738.06. It's going to bring our monthly revenue up, which is also going to bring up our monthly profit, annual profit before debt, annual profit after debt. Now again, with rising revenue, your utilities are also going to go up. So let's just say, we'll keep it simple. Let's just say electricity goes up by, we'll also call it 10%. So take $4,875 times 10%. It's going to be an extra $487 per month that we're going to add to that cost that we already have. So this new number is going to come out to $5,362.74. So it's going to be your new electricity cost. A lot of these other costs will remain the same. Your gas is included in here, and electricity in this one, since it was just total utilities. And then your water price would also go up, since he's including that in the lease amount. I've never seen that done, but since he's including in that amount, he says it's like $1,500 to $2,000 a month. We'll just leave that the same for now, so you could get an idea of, okay, my monthly profit, if I can increase my revenue by 10%, will go up just under $3,000 a month. My net operating income goes up a large amount just by increasing that revenue by 10%. And now look at your annual profit after debt. Way higher. So this starts giving you an idea of these different what if scenarios. So you could say, all right, well, what if I can increase revenue by 15%? Then you could take this number, multiply it by 15%. Add the difference, put that in here. If you're able to increase revenue, all else remains equal, expenses go up as well. How much profit after debt are you going to be making? So these what if scenarios, you look at the laundromat, you say, okay, I think I could increase coin revenue, or maybe it doesn't have app payments, so you put app payments on there, and I'm going to project that's going to increase revenue by 10%. And maybe I'm going to put an ATM in there. I think I can make $5,000 in revenue off that in the first year that it's in there. Or I'm going to add wash, dry, fold. Based on the projections I came up with, it's going to add $30,000 in revenue this year, and it's going to cost me $15,000 to hire an employee to run that. So you would take the $30,000 minus 15, and now you have $15,000 in extra revenue. So those numbers, these what if scenarios, are going to give you the option to play around with these different types of numbers and projections based on what the laundromat's doing, and just some numbers on what it could be doing once you take over, if you're able to raise revenue, or if you basically want to run this thing hands off and just leave it as is because it's making enough revenue as it's currently running. Then the what if scenarios don't even have to be a thing. You know, you could use those just for the offer price and the down payment, and not mess with the revenue and expenses. Those would just remain the same. So this gives you an idea of how this calculator works. Start going through it as often as you can. I'd recommend a couple times a week. You know, put it on your calendar to go through at least 3 times a week while you're new. I would recommend even 5 times, just to get comfortable with it and start really getting comfortable with looking at these numbers. It's going to be probably awkward at first if you've never done this before. So the more you do it, the more comfortable you're going to get, and the more confident you're going to be when you start talking with laundromat owners and throwing out offer prices.
All right, you made it this far in the video, so you're obviously interested in creating financial independence through laundromat ownership. So check out that free 20-minute training that walks you through the 30-day checklist. You can do that in the link below this video. Now you know how to analyze a laundromat in depth, so you can feel confident about buying a great investment for yourself now and in the future. If you found this video to be helpful and you want to learn more about acquiring and managing profitable laundromats, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future content. I appreciate you watching, and happy laundromat hunting.